इधर पे क्यों नहीं दिख रहा है? Hello everybody, my name is Anuja. A very good evening to all of you. I am from Legal Age. I take care of the English department, and today we have met to discuss a very important and interesting topic, that is the written ability test of Symbiosis entrance test. So as you know, Symbiosis is quite a wholesome test in its own, because they ask you objective questions, but then they also give you an essay to write, and then there is also a personal interview in their process. So they check your language every which way. They go for your spoken communication, they also go for your written communication. However, today's session is only focused on written ability test. How can you ensure that your essay writing is proper? So I have got an interesting lineup for you today. Please make sure that you look at the PPT very carefully. I have got the entire how, why, what, every question that comes into mind when it comes to written ability test is answered here. Okay, so let's get started. Points to keep in mind. The first introduction is the WAT of the WAT. WAT is written ability test, and the WAT, the basic things that you need to know about it. So the first point here is, let's focus on the given. They will give you a topic, and what could the topic be? It could be a very straightforward topic. For example, I have taken an example, loan waivers, a temporary solution to a permanent problem. Okay, so it could be a very straightforward topic. Or it could be a topic that is seeking your suggestion. So they want to know that should we do this or should we do that. Or it could be asking your opinion, sort of the same thing. So first of all, you really need to focus on the given, think carefully about the topics. They will not give you just one topic, they will give you 2-3 topics to choose from. And I am very sure after everything that you have gone through, after everything that you have studied for your law entrance examination, you should be able to understand at least one topic carefully. Okay, so it could be a prompt also. It could be like, do you agree, do you disagree? This kind of topic could also be there. Okay, now word limit. Now they do not specify a particular word limit. They give you some around 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, and then you have ample words to express your opinion. So roughly it could be something like 800 words or so, and whatever the best use of 30 to 45 minutes can be done, that is to be expected. Okay, now this was the what of the WAT. Now let's move on to the why. Why are they testing us? Why are they making us go through this? Do they simply hate us? Is it not good enough that we are preparing for an objective exam? No. The why is, they are bothering us. What do they expect from us? They want our solution. But the question that comes to mind is, are they going to implement our solution? Are they going to do that? No, of course not. What they want to check is our thought process. They want to check how we think. Whenever we are faced with a problem, how do we think about it? Okay, so what should we have in mind then? Because I want to project how I think, and I want it to be very logical and coherent. So I should keep in mind to showcase how I think, how I develop an argument. Remember, in critical reasoning, you are given certain sets and you are shown how an argument develops. You sometimes say points to strengthen it, and then you sometimes also say points to weaken it. Similarly, you have to showcase how you think. It means that the first thing, the very first thing that you have start doing right after watching this video is to think. You have to start thinking, and I have to say it loud and clear because not many of us do so. So yeah, there you go. That's the first step. Okay, now moving on to the how of the WAT. So how are we going to go about it? Okay, I have understood what to do, I have understood why to do, but how to do it? That's the real question. So what can be done versus what cannot be done? This is what we are going to understand in the coming few minutes. So the first thing is, how were essays written when we were in school? I want you to just give a quick thought about that. So let us say the topic that was given to you was cow. I'm talking about really young age. Now you would start writing anything and everything that you know about cow, whatever comes to your mind, you would just start rambling. Can you do that here? No, you cannot. You simply cannot. So is everything that comes to my mind relevant? No, it is not. So first thing that you need to do is to take 5 minutes and sit and brainstorm very effectively, and then you start writing, putting your words on paper. To just make you feel how this is going to feel without brainstorming, I have taken an example. So if I come to you and if I ask you to quickly jump into my car and don't ask me any questions, and I don't tell you where I am taking you, and I just start driving, how are you going to feel? You will be flustered, you will be flabbergasted, you wouldn't know what's happening, you would be puzzled. This is exactly how your reader is going to feel if you just make him sit in your car, don't tell him anything and just start driving. You cannot do that. That is why you need to give clarity, you need to give cohesion to your reader, and for that you need to brainstorm before you start writing. You need to have the entire structure in mind so that you can elaborate effectively. Okay, so what should be done? We are used to solving RC questions that ask us to give a suitable title, remember, and I am telling you this, I am reminding you this so that next time you read an RC, you just notice how the author has developed his argument. Okay, you are also used to reading newspaper articles, right? So next time you read a newspaper article, just have a look of how the author has developed his argument. Okay, those things, those practical things are really going to help you in becoming a good writer. And understand and remember one thing, a bad reader cannot be a good writer. So you really need to read a lot for you to ensure that you write something decent. Okay, so make sure that you pick up on your reading. Okay, so this was the how of the WAT. Now moving on, I must tell you about the IBC formula. What is this IBC formula? I stands for introduction, B stands for body, and C stands for conclusion. So the IBC formula tells you that you really need to take care of this structure. You introduce, remember, you just cannot start just like that. So you introduce properly, then you give a body to your essay, and then you conclude. I know you want to know what goes in I, what goes in B, and what goes in C. Hold your horses, it's coming right up. So the 1-3-1 rule, 1 paragraph for introduction, 3 paragraphs for body, and 1 paragraph for conclusion. This is a suggested structure that you can follow. Okay, so how to make the intro, and how to make the body, and how to make the conclusion? These are the questions that are popping in your mind right now, right? Let us answer them. So content, of course, that is the most important thing. You really need to make sense of what you are saying. Then the points that you are providing, the examples, the data, and this will all come from your reading, the day-to-day reading that you are doing. Okay, then your thought process, it cannot be jumbled, it cannot be confusing. You need to give it a proper structure. Why you consider these points to be important? Remember, you need to justify, you need to make sure कि आप जो बोल रहे हो वो useless ना हो, है ना? So why you consider these points to be important? You need to tell that as well. Of course, grammar, I don't think I need to tell you about this. If your grammar is wrong, then very bad impression. Spellings, grammar, that is non-negotiable, that has to be correct. Structure, right? Have you organized your points into paragraph? Now that is very important, because if you just make it one big chunk, then it will be not readable. If you want it to be readable, you convert it into paragraphs. And here is a quick tip for you. Every time you are starting a paragraph, make sure that you start it with a new point. Okay, beginning of the paragraph is supposed to be a new point, so make sure you do that. Okay, coherence, it should be logical, it should be weaved very neatly into a fabric. It shouldn't feel like you have just thrown some things together. It should feel that it neatly fits together. And you know, as you might understand, it is not going to happen overnight. It will require some practice sessions from you. So starting today, you make sure that you write something. maybe just a small blog or a small diary or a small essay, but you write it from today itself, okay, so that you can have all these points in your essay. Okay, you can have good content, you can show your thought process, you can be thorough with grammar, you can give it a proper structure, and of course you can make it coherent. Okay. Now remember to carefully read the topic, don't miss out on keywords. Sometimes what happens is we misunderstand, and that is why we simply write something else altogether. So make sure that you do not miss out on keywords. IBC, remember, intro, body, conclusion, all the three are necessary ingredients of a good essay. So all the three should be there. Then maintain a flow in your essay. Like I just told you, it shouldn't feel like some things thrown randomly. It should feel that it should be a proper flow. Then make paragraphs, otherwise you will make it completely unreadable. It would be very irritating for the examiner and he is not going to read it. Okay. And keep the end in mind. You should know where you are going, right? It should not be a drive where you are clueless and your reader is also clueless. So keep the end in mind, and that way you can proceed. Okay. Now, another very important question is the evaluation. So this was all about how to write and what to keep in mind, but who will evaluate? How to go about practice at home, right? You have watched this video, you know what to do, but of course you need to practice it. And then what are the key takeaways of the evaluation process? So listen very carefully. I have simplified it to the bare essentials so that all of you, each one of you, can evaluate your own essays. Okay, so how to get your essays checked? Let me ask you, who will check the final answer that you write? When you write it on the D day, who will check it? Of course you, before you submit it. So practice self-evaluation, but not when writing. Check after writing. This is very important. Some of us become assessors during we are writing. Don't do that. You check after writing. Okay. So points that you should keep in mind while evaluating your essay. Those are things that I must tell you and you must notice. So are the points that I wanted to convey clear? Check for clarity. Okay. Then did I use examples whenever I required to illustrate? I mean, you really have to simplify it for your audience. So were there examples? Did I use real world data? Because those are the kind of examples people will relate to very quickly. Then does the premise, argument, conclusion check hold? Remember the IBC formula? So, and again you have heard this in critical reasoning also. You give a premise, you build on it, and then you conclude. So does the premise, argument, conclusion thing work? Did my essay have a central theme? Yes, of course it should have a central theme. It should have a tone, like we go for an RC. It has all those things. Did my intro engage the reader? And I have specifically written intro because if your introduction is boring, I think you have lost your audience. People are not going to continue. So did my intro engage the reader? You really have to take efforts to make it engaging, and don't worry, I will tell you how you can make it engaging. Did my conclusion provide closure to the reader? Closure, when the reader feels, okay, I have understood, I am satisfied. That is a very important feeling. Otherwise, you will feel restless and your reader will also feel sort of unsatiated. So you need to provide your reader a closure. Is every single sentence crucial? Because if it is not, then it should not be in your essay. So is every single sentence that I have written, is it crucial or is it just some redundant thing? If it is, then simply remove it. Did I vary my sentence structures? Now this is a brownie point because if you can know different structures, then you are going to impress the examiner. Okay, and for that you really need to be good at your grammar. Have I used any cliches by mistake? Because cliches by definition are boring. They are dull and boring. If you keep repeating those things that everybody has been repeating forever, then you are simply boring your audience to death. And that kind of essay is not a good essay. Are the transitions gentle on the reader? Okay, suddenly you are not supposed to shock your reader. So if you are progressing, you need to progress smoothly in a way that your reader understands. Did I bore the reader or maintain his interest? That is very important, because if he is bored, then no matter the wealth of your essay, it's so great, but it's all going to be wasted on the reader. Okay. Is my essay memorable? Final point. Is it memorable? Do you think that I will remember something like this? If yes, then it's a good essay. Okay, so I'll conclude this session with quick tips for introduction, body and conclusion. Be all ears. These are some very useful quick tips. So introduction, first thing is hook. What's a hook? Hook is something that is going to keep your readers hooked. So generalizations, anecdote, any interesting fact or trend, any quote, anything that will hold your reader's attention. It introduces the topic, that's all. So don't write your entire thesis here. Understand, right? That thesis part you can do when you make the body of your essay. Shift to prompt, then make your essay cohesive, and then thesis. Now this baby is the boss that controls everything, because that is the point where people are going to focus a lot. Okay, so the general outline, like we had that example where you have just asked somebody to come with you but haven't told that guy what is going to happen, that will not work. So you give a general outline to the reader how you are going to organize your essay. Okay, so these were some quick tips for introduction. Now let's say, what do we have to keep in mind for body? Topic sentence that introduces the supporting idea. Topic sentence is very important for every paragraph, because that will teach your reader as to what to expect. Then it is imperative that you introduce the overall idea of the paragraph and you keep that as the first sentence. Give some examples from history, politics, economics. Don't take examples for, like I've said, don't use Sharma uncle here, because don't take really childish examples. Take examples that you have read in newspapers. If not, you can even create a good hypothetical, but do not take childish examples. Okay, and then you develop your thought. So body is the part where you actually develop your idea. You show people if you agree, if you disagree, why do you feel what you feel, so you develop it. You give supporting ideas to prove your point. Okay, and that's about the body. Now let me take you towards the quick tip for conclusion. So first thing is, you tell if you strongly agree. Okay, you tell if you don't agree, then you say, okay, I mostly agree. And if you mostly agree, then you tell why do you mostly agree. Okay, so that is how, and you conclude. And if you strongly disagree or you mostly disagree, then you again tell why you do that. Okay, so you simply reiterate your points when it comes to the conclusion. Okay, so that's it from my side. I hope, guys, that you got a very good idea. So that's me. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for all your patience. And now you can ask your questions and I'll be only too glad to help you out. Yeah. So anything that you wish to ask related to the written assessment test of Symbiosis entrance. So Udit, as I told you, when it comes to closing your essay, you need to reiterate your point, you need to re-emphasize whatever you have felt, and a good conclusion is actually like a good summary. Okay, so you give a good summary of whatever has happened till now. Okay, now how many topics can we prepare? So see, you actually cannot prepare for any such topic if you have been reading editorials, if you have been preparing for general awareness, then you anyway know everything that you need to know, and they will give you 2 to 3 topics there, so you can choose the one that you understand the best. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. And Pratima, speed will automatically be developed because you are going to practice this, don't you? The points that you have learned today, you are going to practice those points. So speed will automatically develop. Okay, yeah. I will surely suggest some topics to you. I will get them sent to you. I can help you out with some standard topics which you can use for your practice session. Yeah. Ritesh, you don't really have to go for a word limit check. See, they're not giving you marks on the number of words that they have used. They really want to check how well you have written. So don't worry too much about the number of words, but you focus on how you are developing your introduction. Okay? Yeah. So Ayush, like we just discussed, that a good introduction should have a good hook. This is your chance to make sure that the audience stays with you. So here you give something interesting so that the author holds on to it, the reader holds on to it, and of course you introduce. Yeah. Sanskar, they usually give easy questions. Like I've been saying, they give very easy sections, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. So standard word range, you can roughly say something like 800 words, and then 800 words means, so a sentence usually has 8 to 10 words, and a paragraph usually has what, 7 to 10 lines. So something like that. You probably have to write some 6-7 paragraphs, good paragraphs, and in that range your first paragraph is going to be introduction and your last one is going to be conclusion, and in between whatever you have got body. Okay. Yeah. It's good to stay moderate, Shubh, because you do not want to come across as an extremist. So it's good to stay moderate. But don't stay too moderate, don't stay too general, because why are they asking this? They want to know your thought process. And if you play too diplomatic, if you stay too neutral, it seems that you really do not have a viewpoint. And we don't want to give, after everything that we have done, we don't want to come across as someone who does not have an opinion. We of course do not want to come across as opinionated, that is somebody who has too strong opinion, headstrong person, but we do want to come across as we have opinions, right? Yeah. Of course, there will be a PI followed by this, and we can give you, I think, tips related to PI in a separate session altogether. Yeah. And I'll give you a hint. If you cannot think of various angles, then you can just think if you can see some political angle in the given topic, some legal angle, some economic angle, some social angle. These are the general keywords that you can keep in mind, and I'm sure that you can find something to write in every topic, whatever topic they give. So editorials will be mighty useful, and I think after you have attended this session with me, now next time whenever you read an editorial or whenever you read an RC, I think you will be more observant. You would notice what the writer is doing, right? So yeah. So general topics, like I said, the topics that you are covering for your general awareness section, those topics will help you sail through. You do not have to worry about that. What you need to worry about is probably go through the video again and remember all the points that I have told you to take care of, and then you practice a lot on those lines. Okay. So language has to be formal, of course. You cannot use the language that you use for chatting with your friends. Your spellings have to be proper, they have to be complete. Your grammar has to be right, you have to use the right tenses. That is one more reason why you must revise all your grammar notes, right? So language has to be formal. Yes, definitely. And yes, that's a good question, Bharati. Thank you for asking it. Should we use vocab that we have learnt during our preparation? Only if it fits there. I have seen so many people who feel that they desperately want to please the examiner, and then they frame sentences in a way that those words fit. Don't do that. You just revise your words before you go for the session so that you have them in your active memory, and then you see if you can use them organically. If they fit the context, sure, go ahead. You have good vocabulary, you have all the right to show people, but then don't be desperate. Don't make a desperate attempt to somehow fit that word, because that is going to seem very odd and you are going to come across as a boastful person. Okay. So redundancy will be avoided if you ask yourself, is every sentence crucial? If it's not crucial, it shouldn't be there. Okay. So if I have to choose between using really tough words and making it easy to understand, I will always vote for an essay which is easy to understand and it's memorable, so that I remember it. Okay. So guys, I hope that I have at least done a decent job in answering your queries. I hope this was super useful for you. Keep practicing, keep reading, because that is going to be very important, and I'm going to see you soon again. Have a good day. This is me signing off.